Good morning. I'm Martes Ordanel, and today I'm going to discuss about the data analysis. Data analysis and measures of central tendency and assessment of student learning. Data analysis. Data analysis is just a plain data analysis, is simply compiling, evaluating, and presenting numerical evidence. Numerical evidence is the performance of the student on how to assess the child. There are 3 tasks and skills involved in doing plain data analysis that teachers need to focus on: finding, presenting, and interpreting numerical evidence. In assessment tools, you can use non-assessment test and the test. Example of tests are the oral and the written test. In non-test, we have the games, portfolios, projects, and journals. And according to Sir PJ, in Principle of Ethics, kapag nakuha mo na ang data from the students about their performances, that is the basis of their goals, but never ever expose grades. So there is or process on how you interpret the numerical evidence. Now, in finding data, classroom teachers should gather them by appropriate assessment tools intended for the 3 domains of learning. This data should be presented in meaningful fashion. Of course, before you gather data, you have to find data through assessment tools. The 3 domains of learning is focused in lesson plan, which is the objective. Now, let's proceed to interpreting. In terms of interpretation, teachers should be familiar with the simplest or plain data analysis that can be done mentally, manually, or electronically. In interpretation, we can say that the child is very good from the data you gathered, and it includes here the computation. Manually is by doing grades, by writing their grades with comments. So this is the use of interpreting data analysis. Yung electronically naman, example of this is through the use of Excel when computing grades. After interpreting, next is this presenting. Teachers' class records are made in the form of tables. Here, data are organized to facilitate data analysis and interpretation. Data presentation can be in the form of a table, a graph, or a paragraph. In the classroom, a paragraph presentation is least utilized data presentation, and the most common are tabular and graphical presentation. Here in presenting, tables and graphs are often used. You have to separate quizzes, exams, and attendance para organize ang mga grades ng mga estudyante. Least used is the paragraph because this is the only often used at the end of the presentation of what the child's performance based on their grades. Now, we have 3 forms of presentation. We have here the tabular, graph, textual, or paragraph. Tabular. Tabular presentation of data simplifies the system of organizing data in columns and rows. While it is possible to present numerical data in tabular form, it is far more effective if these data are presented in graphs. When we say tabular, it is arranged in a table with rows and columns. A table is a chart that organizes information in rows and columns. Example of this tabular presentation is the items of plausibility. Next is the graph. For classroom purposes, when the most abundant data are in the form of test scores, the graph that is most appropriate to use is the histogram. Histogram is a graphical display of tabulated frequency in bars. This is the commonly used graph to show frequency distribution. Example of this is this one. Now let's proceed to textual or paragraph. For documentary purposes, data should be presented in paragraph form. A paragraph is a tool of organizing the material and research data in a more comprehensible way. It must be an explanation of the data, which includes the interpretation and trends of the data presented in a table or in a graph. When we say paragraph, it is through sentence or text construction. A brief statement of the data through paragraph. So this is an example of a textual or paragraph form of presentation. So that's it for today. The next topic is the measures of central tendency to be discussed by Ms. Melanie Lencuna. Thank you.